I'm Margaret from A Mindful Emergence, talking about trauma's hidden golden thread. When we think of trauma, we think about big losses, but trauma can be all over the map, small losses to big losses. We're all human. We all are of the nature to get sick, grow old, experience loss, and eventually die. Sometimes the truth of that can be very painful and scary. That is why we suppress it. It's a very natural and normal thing to do. And repressed childhood memories are often not even acknowledged. They don't even come to the surface of our awareness until well into adulthood, where we can look back and understand ourselves a little bit more and understand why we react the way we do and seek a resolution. So, when we're doing any kind of mind expansion, raising our consciousness, it can be something like yoga, meditation, breath work, exploring psychedelic medicines, feeling that we're in a safe, compassionate environment is really essential. It's one of the highest priorities. It is where we can be supported to explore some of the fears and some of the pains that we've kept in the background for so long. By turning toward the truth of what happened, the pain seems to soften and the fear seems to lessen. And in that space, new insights can reveal themselves. We might have a whole new way of looking at the situation. So, what this means is it may not be necessary to resolve our trauma or to analyze it or to fix it. In fact, the willingness to explore your inner landscape of consciousness can really bring about the healing conditions. So, we all have multiple parts within us, and each of these parts has its own way of looking at things, has its own emotional response and thoughts about the situation and responses to it. And so, if we can kind of move into our consciousness expanding exploration with the idea of being curious about these parts of ourselves that may have been suppressed for a while, that can lead us to our liberation. It's that curiosity and that willingness to be compassionate and connected to ourselves that can really help us to really feel like we are becoming free from our limited perspectives. We have two big fears usually in our lives, or maybe it's just universal. And one of those fears is that we're going to go crazy, that if we explore this inner landscape, that it'll be too much for this brain to comprehend and it'll just break. It'll go crazy. I'll never come back to feeling like I'm me. That can be terrifying. The other big fear is I'm just going to die. This is not a safe thing to do. And I think that this is probably going to kill me. And so, fortunately, these things that I've mentioned, the yoga, the meditation, the breath work, psilocybin exploration, these are relatively safe given the right mindset of being curious, compassionate, connected to our bodies and our breath and our guides. The environment is safe and comfortable and supportive for our evolution. That we are actually held in a pretty safe space. So, steps you can take, and this is going to sound pretty ridiculously simple, but I'll try to explain. Trust the process and let go of the need to control. Trust the process means that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to pretty much everything in life, right? To our sensations, to our emotions, to all the circumstances, whether they're extremely pleasant or extremely unpleasant. There's a trajectory, there's an arc, there is a beginning to a process, whether you're in a yoga class and just learning how to be in your body and feel different things, or you're sitting for meditation and you're bumping up against boredom or activation, or you're in breath work and you're working hard to breathe in a particular way, or you're just relaxing deeply, or if you're experiencing a psilocybin journey, the coming up part can be a little bumpy and a bit uncomfortable and uncertain. So that's the beginning. And then there's a middle part where it gets a little more interesting, where you kind of have your feet underneath you a little bit. And there are sensations that are pleasant, and there's maybe sensations that are unpleasant, and thoughts that can be one way, and then opposite thoughts that come in, and forgetting and remembering. And then there's a coming down phase where you feel like, oh, okay, it's not quite as intense anymore, and I'm feeling more like myself. And maybe there's even more options. Wow, I can see a wider viewpoint. And so there's a beginning, a middle, an end to pretty much everything. You can trust that that's the way it all works. And that can be somewhat helpful when you're entering a new experience. And then the other one, let go, surrender. And that's not easy for any of us. So we practice. We practice again and again, allowing ourselves to let go of a little bit of our control and noticing that can be actually kind of pleasant. And then we forget how to do that. And so we're given another challenge. And then with that next challenge, we again try to remember to the best of our ability how to let go, how to trust that we can find our balance again. And over time, we gain a little confidence and we gain a little competence. And that's the way we do it. Thanks.